I hired my nutrition coach back. I actually hired her, last year was 2024. I think I started working with Jenny in 2022 or 2023. And the original reason I started working with her is because I was at a really good place with my calories and my body, and I knew I needed to increase calories, but I was just so fearful of it. And I was kind of trying to play these mind games and like thinking about going more into a cut when I really didn't need to. And one of the problems with being a coach sometimes is you know too much and you know like how to manipulate things or how to like pull levers. That way we can get a little bit more of what we're looking for. And at that time it was really like torturing my brain. And I thought like, I can't do this anymore. And Christina, who's the gal I work with on the Mindset of Matter, and we've got the podcast of the Mindset Mirror Connection together. Her and I would go back and forth on calories, and I could have used her, and she definitely has helped me along the way too. But I just felt like I need to outsource my brain. Christine and I are such good friends and business partners too. Like we didn't have the podcast at this time yet, but I didn't want to put that on her. Because sometimes it's a lot when you're coaching people and working with their calories and their expectations. And I wanted to keep our relationship separate from the one I wanted to hire. So I knew Jenny through a client of mine because this client was very particular about who she works with. And she had worked with Jenny in the past for nutrition coaching. So I ended up reaching out to Jenny and she became my coach, and it was love at first sight. But anyway, so I had worked with her. At this time, I'd gone into a bulk with her, which was really challenging for women. So basically, if you don't know what that is, a bulk is essentially eating above your maintenance calories. Maintenance calories are, I'm not trying to lose weight, I'm not trying to gain weight. This is just the amount of calories my body needs to help me feel appropriately for my workouts and feel good. When we go into a surplus or a bulk or an additional amount of calories, usually what we're trying to do is add muscle and strength. It can make your body look a bit different. But I knew I needed to do that for what I was trying to achieve, and she helped guide me through that. And it's really, really hard. So she helped me go through that. Then we did a cut, and then helped me all through pregnancy of just making sure that I was hitting my calories. I was due in November. I think I stopped working with her, I want to say in September, October, just because I was kind of writing out pregnancy. And I knew once baby came, I didn't know if I was going to track calories. So I didn't know how I'd get that information to her. And I didn't know like what my lifestyle was going to be like for that first month. I always knew at some point I would go back to her. I just didn't know when. And I think that's really important for those of you listening that haven't worked with a coach to understand, like, a good coach doesn't want you forever. We're more than happy to have you on our roster forever, but at some point we want you to feel like you can do it on your own. You just would prefer we did it for you. We never want you to feel like we are your authority. We never want you to feel like you couldn't do it without us. We want you to know you can. But sometimes like it's like kind of paying for a yard work person. Like, I know I could do my own yard work, but I really don't want to, right? And you should have a coach in that same mindset. So I just want to emphasize that because, like, for Jenny and I, like, we're very cool. She wasn't worried about me, going off. Like, sometimes when I have clients that are gonna leave coaching, I'm concerned because I don't feel like they're ready. But if they feel like they are, I have to honor that and make sure that I have given them the tools that they need for their lifestyle. So I went through pregnancy, had the baby. I wasn't tracking calories in December. January, I started tracking again. In February, definitely did. So January, when I started, I was at like 24. I bumped up to 25 and then bumped up to 2,600 calories. And then and I can see it in my videos when I go back to edit them with our VA, and I kind of I hear what I'm saying. And for some of you, if you're not coming from a coach's perspective, you won't hear it. But what I heard me saying is a fear of increasing calories, but I'm still hungry, and kind of an exhaustion of just constantly having to eat with breastfeeding. But also, like, body image was coming into play too throughout my stories and the conversation. So I wanted to make sure that I was staying mindful of those pieces because I knew at some point it might not be a positive thing or a negative thing, but it just might need a thing that I need help with. So I actually got to 2,600 calories, still hungry. But what was happening is my weight is still kind of dropping. Although it's very slow, it's still overall trending downwards. And my waist is still trending downwards too. And so you start to play mind games with yourself. And it's a lot of information in your brain, and then it's a lot of opportunities for decisions, but it's a lot of opportunities to really fuck yourself over. Dang, I'm trying not to cuss because I'm realizing I cuss a lot. So the first cuss of the day. Um, anyway, so I started to I'm going to be completely honest. And I had the conversation with Jenny about this yesterday. So what I started to do was want to stay at the calories that I was at, the 2,600, knowing that I'm still hungry and that I probably should be eating more. However, I was hoping that if I stayed at that 26, I can be in this, it's kind of this fine line that you can create with clients of I'm kind of almost at maintenance, but I'm still leaning out. And I can manage the hunger because I have that in me. I just know how to because of coaching and because of training and my education and just experience. So I was kind of hoping to double dip, which I would never tell a client to do. I would never want a client to be somewhat hungry throughout the day when they're breastfeeding in hopes that they can achieve body composition at the same time. Because I'm like, what are the goals here? And honestly, you're not in a weight loss period when you're trying to breastfeed, in my opinion. Other coaches might have a different philosophy, but I want to make sure that you've got the supply. And what we should probably be doing is making sure we're eating enough, focusing on getting strong, and you're going to get the result you're looking for with just those things, right? But I was trying to cheat the system, to be honest. So I was essentially hungry a lot, but trying to manage it and then still strength train. And then I would see the scale kind of, again, decrease down, waist is going down. So I'm getting that validation from what I'm doing is the way to do it, like for myself, right? Because I'm different from y'all, or I'm different from this girl or that girl when you're not. So there was that. So, and then I knew I wanted to increase calories, but I was fearful of doing that. And that's something I really understand with clients too, is the fear of increasing calories. If I increase calories, if I eat more, I'm going to get fat or I'm going to gain weight. And for me, I had that same thought of like, if I go up, I'm probably going to gain weight. Or if I go up, I'm probably not going to see this gradual trend down. And to me, I'm like, God, that's really messed up. Like, because this isn't how I would coach somebody, but you're kind of still trying to do it, but kind of still trying to push yourself. And it puts you in this really conflict of interest position. And then you're like a hypocrite. So then who the fuck are you? Oh, crap, again. So who are you? You know, like, who am I to be coaching people on this stuff? What I would also think, like, if I increase calories, then that is, and if I gain like a pound on average, then that's another week that I'm going to have to go in a deficit. So let me explain that. So what I'm thinking is, so I was about 130 before I got pregnant, and then I'm about 150 now. We'll just make those numbers even. So I'm thinking, okay, if I want to get back to my pre-baby pregnancy, pre-baby body, I've got to get down to 130. So then I think 50 minus 30 is 20. So I've got 20 pounds that I would like to lose. Okay, so stay with me here. If I'm going to try to lose a pound per week, which is a completely sustainable weight loss period, so you either want half a pound to a pound per week for sustainability. If you're losing 5 pounds per week, that's not good because it's going to come back that much quicker. So for me, if I'm like, okay, it takes 1 pound per week, so I've got at least 20 weeks in a cut, right? I'm like, okay, so I've got 20 weeks of weight loss period. So if I gain a pound or half a pound or whatever I gain, if I go up in calories, now that adds on to my weeks of weight loss. And 20 is already a long time. Like, I don't like to take clients in longer than a 16 to maybe even 16 is a lot, but 12 weeks is my sweet spot for a weight loss period. So I'm thinking, okay, that would give me 2 periods of weight loss with a maintenance phase. So I'm at least at 40 weeks now, plus a maintenance phase, which maybe should be about a month. So I'm at 44 weeks, which essentially is a year of weight loss. But now if I add on, see where that starts to like it gets, so, and that's just if I gain weight. That's not even me adding the calories yet. And so, and I know, like, I'm already hitting my protein. I get like 160, 170 protein a day. I get 100 fats a day and then the rest carbs. So like, okay, so what do I add, right? Do I add, because I don't need more protein. Like that's too much.
I have the Mindset of Mommies program coming out March 3rd. In this group coaching program, you're going to get 8 weeks of foundational topics to give you the best pregnancy yet. This is for people who are interested in getting pregnant, who are currently trying to conceive, or if you're pregnant, and that could be your first pregnancy or your 5th pregnancy. In this 8-week series, what we're going to do is take you through weekly topics that focus on adjustments for pregnancy. So for example, how to adjust your exercise training through each trimester, which nutrition considerations you need to implement into your diet and lifestyle, what mindset shifts do you need to make through your body image, gaining weight, as well as your relationships. What support services should you seek? Do we need a pelvic floor physical therapist, chiropractor, massage, all the goods and ends? Also, resources. I've got a full Google Drive of resources for you to have access to. We'll also have weekly group calls. On these weekly group calls, they are recorded, so you have a lifetime of access to reference them. So if this is something you're interested in, again, we're starting March 3rd. Be sure to sign up in the link below, and let's get you started for the best pregnancy yet.
Do I add to my carbs? Do I add to my fats? And so what do I do there? And I'm honestly not even really looking at the macros because I know I'm hitting them. So I'm looking at the calories and I'm just trying to hit this number. So let me break this down right now. So I'm losing weight gradually. I'm leaning out my waist gradually. I'm scared to increase calories. I'm getting validation from the scale and my pictures and measurements, but also I'm feeling like it's not enough at 3 months, which is not realistic. And then I'm trying to gain the system of like making sure I'm not adding weight because I'm thinking of a weight loss period that I don't even know is going to go in yet. But I need to make sure I'm eating enough for breastfeeding so that way I get enough calories for my body to make milk so I can give it to my daughter. And I don't even know when I'm going to stop breastfeeding, so I'm going to have to continue doing that until I'm ready to stop. And it's so fucking, dang it, it's so freaking much, right? So, and then I feel like when I look at myself, for my body image right now, like I just feel soft. I feel like I just don't feel like built. And I like to feel built. I like to look built. And so I'm trying to figure out how I can get back to where I want to be. And I know, and I tell this to clients, but now that I'm in it, I'm like, that is not working. This is not the mindset I want to be in. So I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. It's been about, it's been happening, I'll say, like about 3 weeks after I gave birth. So figure middle of December. And today is February something. It's like the middle of February if you're watching this. So you figure like it just keeps escalating. That feeling and those thoughts and that pattern and that manipulation just keep getting worse. And so I was like, okay, it's time to clock back in, Jenny. So I told her all this yesterday when we're on the call. She's the reason, she could pick up where she left off. But again, if you haven't worked with a coach before, if you have, every single time you work with that coach, like whether you're returning or you're a first time client, there should be an intake process. Figuring out what are you currently doing? Where are you currently at? What's your mindset like? What are your goals? What are your pros, cons? What have you tried before? Where do you feel like your barriers are? Like all of that is really important to helping just kind of create an individual roadmap. Because if they're just going, that sounds great, I would love to coach you nutrition wise. Let's start you at 1,800 calories. Red flag. There is no, let's start you at this number without actually intaking of where you're at. And honestly, if they're like, oh, you have to track calories and you're maybe coming from like a disordered eating kind of spectrum, or you don't have time, like I don't expect my moms to track calories because if you haven't before, you've got to build a library and it's much easier if you already have that library. But if you don't want to start, like you don't have to. We can do other methods of that. So if they're like, oh, you have to track calories in order to get this, the answer is no, you don't. There are other ways to do it. Now, are tracking calories the most efficient way to figure out what you're actually eating? Yes. But is that even 100% accurate? No. So it's one of those things of like, just make sure that your coach is asking you questions and hearing you and understanding where you're coming from. Because I get so many clients that have worked with coaches before and they're jaded by the industry. And it's upsetting because honestly, like hopefully that coach is trying their best and it's just coming from a lack of knowledge or experience or maybe flexibility with clients. But I'm telling you, like There are so many of us that are similar to me, Christina, Jenny, Erin is another one that is in the East Coast. I'm trying to think of some other. Samantha, she is one of my former clients that is now wanting to do some nutrition coaching. Like, make sure that they provide flexibility, but make sure they've also kind of figured out their own shit. So, like for me, I'm telling you my own shit. As a coach, we do not have it together. We can coach you well and efficiently, but we've got to recognize when we can't do that for ourselves. So that's why Jenny came back in the picture. So I'm telling her all this yesterday, and she's like, "You are totally overthinking this." And I'm like, fuck it. I really know. I'm really trying not to cuss. So I know. And she's like, you are not in a fat loss phase. And I'm like, I know. And she's like, so let's stop pretending that you are. And I'm like, I know. So she looked at my stuff. I had been recording for her so she could take the information and decide what to do with it for me. So I gave my brain to somebody else because I can't do it for myself. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes that's bad. Sometimes I think sometimes that insecurity comes from my perspective that if I need a coach, why should I coach others? Right? Like, I should have it all figured out. But then I think that's not true. Like, bosses and CEOs have like mentors as well. Like, so I on a totally different scale, but you have to think like sometimes you just need help, and that's okay. It's okay to get help. It's okay to get help short term. It's okay to get help long term. It's okay to realize you only thought you needed short term, but you actually really need long term. And I feel like it's really important for those of you watching to know coaches need help too. Some coaches need help nutrition wise. That's me. Some coaches need help mindset wise, like with how they perceive themselves to their clients. Like, there's this big trend in the industry that we all have to have these really fit bods in order to attract clients. And sometimes that's not true. Some clients gravitate towards people who see themselves in their trainer. Some clients, gravitate towards someone like more male because they feel like they need that push. Some clients need someone more empathetic because they feel like they need to be heard a little bit more, maybe a softer movement practice. So there's a lot of variability, but you just need to make sure when you're working with somebody that they do their intake, that you feel heard, and that their plan for you agree with, and it fits within your lifestyle. Which is off track of why the crap I hired a coach is because I couldn't take it in my brain anymore. It just it's too much between trying to remember feeding times, sleep schedule, work, going back to work, pumping, still having a relationship with my significant other, working out, making sure I'm eating enough, going to the grocery store, making sure I have enough food prepped, because you haven't even talked about how much calories is 2,700 calories. So now I'm at like 2,760, I think. So we just went up by like 100, but even then that's like still scary for me. But you got to think how much food that is, because I don't eat a lot of processed food. So you got to think so actually what we decided for me to do, which is funny, is have my meals, but now I'm going to add in a potato, just like literally eating a potato between lunch and dinner, because I can prep that ahead of time, super easy. I don't mind having them cold, and I'm just going to have a potato every day to make sure I get 100 extra more calories, which sounds kind of silly when I say that out loud, but it's the same thing I would tell a client. Like, if they weren't having breakfast, I'd be like, can you just have like a protein drink? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I'd be like, great. And then they'd be like, oh, I'm kind of more hungry. And I'd be like, can you add a banana, or can you add an apple, something that you don't have to really prep? And they'd be like, oh yeah, I can do that. And then they are ready to have a meal. So yeah, that's why I hired a nutrition coach, because I can't bear this burden anymore. And that's why I wanted to share it with you, because I think it's important that y'all realize sometimes you just need help, and it's okay to reach out for it. So if you like this content, please make sure to share it with anybody that you think it would be valuable with. Be sure to subscribe so that way you can get notifications when I post new videos. And make sure you like this video so that way the algorithm finds me more important. I'm just kidding. Also, make sure that you are tuning in, because I've got my Mindset of Mommies program out. We are doing a group cohort starting March 3rd. And what this is an 8-week course for pregnancy. And I basically designed it because there was a lot of things that I was noticing with my clients of just lack of information, lack of education, lack of confidence of feeling through pregnancy and what their choices were, like that they could work out during pregnancy, that it's actually beneficial to work out during pregnancy, what nutrition alterations and adjustments you should make, what kind of support services you should have. Like, I've recommended doula, get a different OBGYN. Have you thought about a home birth center? I've also talked about in this course is different resources, so different labor positions, different ways like of moving your body through labor, and different kind of ways to do mobility for how you feel. There's a lot of resources on nutrition. There's a whole library that you'll get in the Google Drive, as well as weekly group calls with me and the other girls. So using this opportunity each week to review a module that we're going to talk about. So module is exercise, nutrition, support, the testing that you're going to get, and resources, as well as mindset. Most important. Talking about the mindset of what the hell is going on during pregnancy, because a lot of you are scared to gain weight during pregnancy. And so again, you're trying to do things to manipulate to not gain the weight. But we've got to talk about that, because you are going to gain weight during pregnancy and it's okay. So the decision comes from, how do we not say, fuck it, I'm going to eat all this shit, and then we gain additional weight because we're just kind of going off the rails. But that also goes back to my point of what you did before pregnancy. Your behaviors and your thoughts towards yourself and your body are going to appear during pregnancy and become prevalent postpartum. So my 8-week course is going to go over that. You get weekly check-ins from me, and then peer-to-peer support. So we've got like kind of a forum for everybody to reach out. So if that's something you're interested in, check the link below to sign up March 3rd, in 8 weeks, and to get you the best pregnancy yet. Other than that, I'll see you on the next video.